We are gathered here on the sacred soil of Arlington National Cemetery to honor the lives and deeds of America's greatest heroes.
We see the gravestones, we understand that ultimate price that they paid. It's really a time for us to pause and really give thanks to their service.
Memorial Day means a great deal to me, to all of us, especially after having served as we did. And for a lot of us, Memorial Day is every day.
We send our gratitude, our respect, our love to all the American service members who gave their lives and the families that they left behind. Hello everybody, I'm Lee Goldberg. Memorial Day is a time to remember the fallen and spend time with our own families. And the clouds and the cooler temperatures across our state reflected the somber mood of the day. Many of us were indoors with our loved ones instead of outside doing any grilling. Keith, will these clouds move on before the work week begins for most, which is tomorrow?
Yeah, you know, for most of us, we're looking good through the rest of the week, actually. We were out here on Friday, Lee and I, grilling. It was gorgeous, and then the weekend kind of took a downturn on Sunday and into today as well. Let's take a look at our current temperatures. They're cool in most spots, in the 50s and low 60s, and we didn't get much warmer than this for highs, the exception being Berlin sitting at 75, but most of us sitting significantly below average for this time of the year. You can see the clouds have been thinning over the past couple of hours, and there's some sun to be had in the mountains and across parts of down East Maine, so some of that will make it to the coastline here late in the afternoon. Won't do much though for temperatures this late in the game. We'll see temperatures staying in the 50s and 60s, and a couple of showers possible in the mountains later on this evening. Most of us stay dry, but we're cloudy through the night. Tonight we get those showers through by early tomorrow morning, and tomorrow looks fantastic basically through the entire day with a lot of sunshine and temperatures in the mid 80s. Another sunny day on Wednesday before we see some heat coming in on Thursday. So, you know, Lee, as we talked about last week, unfortunately today the worst day of this week. The rest of it looks pretty fantastic.
All right, Keith, we will definitely look forward to that. Thank you very much, sir. So Memorial Day means a lot of things to a lot of people. For many, it's the unofficial start to summer. For boaters, it's kind of like opening day, which means for places like the Coast Guard, life's about to get pretty busy. As the day starts for the men and women stationed at the Coast Guard base in South Portland, busy season is also starting. In 2017, the Coast Guard responded to 364 search and rescue calls. 250 of them happened between Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Whenever new guys report, I always say, you just wait. In about a week, this place will be full of boats, and it happens within a week. It seems like overnight, boats are on the water, and same thing in the fall. They're gone overnight. So a lot of boating happens in 3 months in summer in Maine.
Something seemingly as simple as being prepared can go a long way towards cutting the number of emergency calls made. Sometimes it's properly getting your boat ready for the season, or it can be having everything you need just in case you end up in the water, especially early in the season when the weather may be hot, but the water is not.
Even with temperatures in the 80s, right now the water temperature is somewhere around 40 to 50 degrees, which means you've got about 10 minutes where you can still use your hands and fingers, and then about 30 to 60 minutes you're looking at unconsciousness and being unable to do anything for yourself in the water.
In the 4 years that Petty Officer First Class Guerin has been stationed in Maine, he's been impressed with the way that most people handle the responsibility of operating a watercraft.
I don't know if it's the maritime tradition in Maine, but people that have been operating on the water tend to be very well prepared, tend to know the area that they're operating in, and tend to be very helpful to other boaters.
Now, if you want some tools that would be helpful, like how to put together a float plan or to pick up an I'm Found sticker for your paddlecraft, or maybe get your vessel inspected, visit www.cgaux.org. A Memorial Day ceremony in Kennebunkport went on without former President George H.W. Bush and his wife, Barbara. The two would always watch the parade from seats in Docks Square, but 1 month after Barbara's death and 1 week after 41's return to Maine, the former president is in a hospital in Biddeford being treated for low blood pressure and fatigue.
You're just kind of used to them being here. It's odd for them not to be.
We all hope that he gets better soon and can come back and maybe we can do this next year for him.
The ceremony included a moment of silence for the Bushes, and the keynote speaker quoted the former commander-in-chief to honor our fallen service members. President Trump laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier this morning alongside his defense secretary, General Mattis. It is a Memorial Day tradition meant to honor the men whose identities are still unknown and remember every man and woman who is buried at the military cemetery. A man from Auburn is in Washington, D.C. today carrying the Maine flag in the National Memorial Day Parade. Adam Tomlinson Peck is a Desert Storm veteran. He's in our nation's capital, joining dozens of other Desert Storm veterans to honor the 383 people that were killed in that conflict. They're also there to raise awareness and bring attention to a new memorial that will be built in their honor in Washington, D.C. We got a chance to video chat with Tomlinson Peck, who says he's excited and proud to be part of this parade.
And it's just a walk down a street, if you really want to put it into perspective, but it's a real special street and it's a real special walk. So, and I get to represent Maine, which is awesome.
The new National Desert Storm War Memorial will be built on the National Mall. Desert Storm was the first major foreign crisis for the United States following the Cold War. On this day, we remember two Mainers who died while serving their country this past year. Captain Benjamin Cross of the United States Marine Corps, born in Waterville in 1991. He grew up in Bethel. Captain Cross died in a training accident last August. He and 3 other Marines were killed when an Osprey helicopter crashed into the Coral Sea near Australia. And Navy Engineman 2nd Class Austin Williams was stationed in the country of Bahrain, where he was hit by a car while crossing the street with friends. Williams was a track star at Freeport High School. He was only 22 years old. Today and every day, we salute you. Now we'll return with more local news after the break, but first, here are some Memorial Day messages that were posted to our Facebook page. Arlington National Cemetery is running out of room. The New York Times reports that space will run out in 25 years. According to the Times, the Army is considering a policy that would only allow burials for service members killed in action or awarded the Medal of Honor. Now, the Army is asking for public input on the future of Arlington. You can share your thoughts in an online survey, which is posted on the cemetery's website. For the military men and women who did return home from deployments in the Middle East through the Bangor airport, there was usually a smiling face and words of gratitude. The troop greeters made a lasting impression on those who they welcomed home. A senior living facility in Bangor supported the troop greeters today with a Memorial Day barbecue and antique car show. News Center Maine's Dan Fry takes us to Solstice Senior Living to check out the cars.
Just a simple old car.
I really like the old cars better than the new ones.
Why is that?
Because they're more fashionable.
56 Dodge Coronet. I'd like to see the older residents have a look at it. They probably remember years of this vintage.
I think that's what the best part about this is the fact that when they look at these cars and they walk around, it brings back good memories.
Dan, can you see that picture in the window?
Well, I like old cars, and I had one just like to see it, 56 Dodge. That's the one I like the best.
They're pretty cool. I like them.
This one we had it painted back the original colors, and the paint was pretty faded. And
look at the car.
I'm retired Air Force, and so, events like this mean a lot to me.
Today's event is about veterans. It's about our residents. It's about the people that live here that support what's going on.
Money from the barbecue and car show also supports House in the Woods, which is a retreat for veterans. This middle school teacher is being hailed as a hero.
I deeply care for my students and their well-being. So that is why I did what I did that day.
He tackled an armed student, and police say he stopped the carnage at an Indiana school. That's coming up next. And will this week be sunny and warm like Friday, or cloudy and chilly like today? The full forecast is coming up straight ahead. But before we go to break, Memorial Day messages from our elected leaders and public service departments. The Indiana school teacher who jumped into action on Friday and stopped a school shooter, averting what could have been a massive tragedy. Jason Seaman spoke to reporters for the very first time today, and Chris Pallone was there.
On a day the nation pauses to remember its heroes, an Indianatown is especially grateful. They're thankful for science teacher Jason Seaman, who tackled a school shooter Friday and likely prevented a massacre.
He's an absolute hero. I can't wait to get the opportunity to shake his hand because he saved a lot of people's lives.
Seaman insists he just did what any other teacher would have done.
I want to make it clear that my actions on that day, in my mind, were the only acceptable actions I could have done given the circumstances.
It happened at Noblesville West Middle School. Seaman's 7th grade science class was taking a test when another student barged in and opened fire.
We saw one girl fall to the ground, and Mr. Seaman immediately ran at him, swatted the gun out of his hand, and tackled him to the ground.
Seaman was shot 3 times.
I deeply care for my students and their well-being, so that is why I did what I did that day.
13-year-old shooting victim Ella Whistler is in critical but stable condition.
I can't say enough how proud of Ella I am and how we all should be. Her courage and strength at such a young age is nothing short of remarkable.
Seaman says he is still processing what happened.
Have a normal day, all right?
So much worse, and just he literally risked his life and saved all of us, saved us, and we're so thankful.
A teacher willing to give his life to save his students. They call him a hero and are so very thankful to be alive. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
The Travis Mills Retreat in Rome has a new playground. Wounded service members and their families come to the retreat to reconnect, unwind, and learn about resources from other families going through similar situations. New Balance, Cedar Works, and other local companies helped make the playground possible, so it's ready to go for all the kids that will come up this summer. I like playgrounds.
Yeah,
playgrounds are fun.
Did you have kids? It's unclear whether or not.
Wait until right now. See,
Luca doesn't do
dad
much
life for Keith
playing.
is kind of dad life, but not really. Because when you can put the baby down and the baby doesn't move, that's kind of parenting.
I feel like
when that baby becomes mobile and talks, your life will change forever.
I feel like this is a moving target, though. Everyone's like, the first month you're never going to sleep, and I'm like, I'm sleeping. They're like, well, wait until.
You're good. Until the baby becomes mobile. once you get mobile,
look
out.
This is me walking away from you so we can do weather. No, I believe.
Wait, I'm not done. I got more to say.
I believe all your parenting stories, but people didn't like when I'm like, no, we're doing all right the first couple.
You guys
months.
are doing great
for now. Till teething or something. I don't know. 56 in Portland right now, 56 in Wisconsin, 60 in Lewiston. Look at Berlin at 75. Most of us, though, cool as we thought we would be, with quite a bit of cloud cover, particularly through the middle part of the day. That's thinning out on our satellite and radar. Some breaks in the cloud cover back into the mountains and over down East Maine, but a little too late in the game to change the temperature situation. We'll see some late day sunshine in a lot of spots, but temperatures aren't going to really react all that much. A couple of showers across Aroostook County and into the mountains. Most of us just have a chance of a sprinkle tonight, but the vast majority of us do stay dry as this little system moves on through. And you can see it in our hour-by-hour forecast. Most of us are dry here. 11 o'clock, temperatures in the 50s, and then we continue with some showers in the mountains. But by tomorrow morning, almost everybody is sunny, and tomorrow is a really nice day because our winds are west-northwest. We get into the mid-80s in a lot of spots, even along the coastline, the exception being northern Maine, where they stay largely in the 70s. After that, another bright day on Wednesday. It's cooler on Wednesday, upper 60s, low 70s. But you know how I mentioned last week how if you took this week for vacation. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, most of Friday look good, and that's still the case after a sunny day on Wednesday. Thursday is another mild day, especially inland with temperatures in the mid-80s. Now, wind direction is going to be key here. So this is tomorrow, high temperatures. Notice even along the coastline, we're in the mid-80s in Portland, Wiscasset. Could get to 80 in Rockland. I put them at 77 and 82 in Augusta. But when the winds turn, so here are your winds out of the west-northwest, tomorrow. That's why we're in the 80s. When they turn, though, out of the south, as they will for Thursday, watch how drastic a temperature contrast there'll be between inland locations and the coast. So by Thursday, mid-80s, but only low 70s and 60s along the coastline. So that'll be a big split state forecast kind of day. As it stands, I like the work week. I don't like the weekend as much as we approach it. It looks like we'll see some showers Friday night in through much of the day on Saturday. And then much like this Sunday, it will be cooler but dry. So, you know, we're in a weird pattern at the moment, not in the statistical good weather, but in that it's falling on the weekends that the worst weather is coming. So we'll see if we can snap out of that, because this weekend looks to be another one of those where it is cooler on Sunday. And again, same pattern, right? Saturday was mild with showers, Sunday was cool, and then Monday was cool again. In addition. So,
well, I'll tell you this is your last weekend where high school graduations haven't started yet. So starting next weekend, you're going to have to start making the weekends nice. I'm just, no pressure. I'm just telling you it's going to have to happen.
For this, but it does seem sometimes you get in these 5-2, 5-2 patterns, and you hope to catch the nice part of it on the weekend. But, you know, still, this week is really nice.
You've got another week to figure it out. And then, you know, we'll see if we invite you back.
The pressure's tremendous.
That is true. Thank you, sir. Speaking of pressure, the NHL Stanley Cup Finals begin tonight, and you can see it right here on News Center. Now, Mainers could be a little bit torn who to root for. On one hand, you've got the Las Vegas Knights, the feel-good story of the year. They're an expansion team in a city that suffered such devastating loss. On the other side, the Washington Capitals. Now, the reason why the Caps might have some support from our Pine Tree State is the team's coach, Barry Trotz, was the first head coach of the Portland Pirates when the team debuted in the 1993-94 season.
I know I had a lot of fun in '94. Back with the Pirates, that group was, we had our 20-year reunion a year or two back here, and it felt like we had been separated by maybe a couple months, but then we were standing there looking at each other. You knew it was 20 years, but it felt like we hadn't been apart in some of the old stories. I came back from that trip, and Ole was on that trip, and a lot of the players. I remember coming back and flying back to actually Washington here, and I was going, man, my stomach's really sore, and it was from laughing so much.
Our coverage of Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals begins at 8 o'clock right here on NBC. How about the cost that just keeps on climbing? Students taking classes in the UMaine system can expect to pay about 3% more next year. It's a national trend. Higher education is becoming the norm as the price of a 4-year degree continues to go up. More and more families need a better deal for a degree, and Tracy Potts has some advice for undergrads on a budget.
What's a DVT? What's a thrombosis?
At Frederick Community College in Maryland, Maureen McClellan is studying to be a surgical technician. She started college classes in high school.
I started with math. I took college algebra.
She's graduating with an associate's degree, but that's just a start.
I'll then be transferring to Mount St. Mary's for a degree in hopefully health sciences. I want to be a physician's assistant.
Maureen's part of a growing trend. According to the Community College Research Center, almost half of all students who completed a 4-year degree started at a 2-year school. Maureen likes the smaller classes.
You get to know the people in your class. It's more personable, I think.
Her parents like the price tag. Community colleges can cost half as much as 4-year schools, some even less. Some are free. Maureen estimates she saved $32,000 getting the basics done here.
Education's important, but let's do it as economically feasible as possible so you are not coming out at the end of it facing this huge debt.
Planning is important. Counselors help students avoid taking classes that don't transfer, wasting time and money.
If they know that they want to go to a particular 4-year school
then we can work our way backwards to say, okay, this is what they need.
Maureen's already lined up a summer job as a surgical technician.
Excellent. Cool.
Look at you.
With another cap and gown in her future. Tracy Potts, NBC News.
If you're thinking about the community college route or maybe a trade school, head to the Now section of our website because we've got a list of resources and tips for anybody looking for the alternative to a 4-year degree. News Center at 5:30 coming up next. Look who's here. Good friend Amanda Hill with a sneak peek. Hey, Amanda.
Hey, buddy. Hey, on this Memorial Day, a group of Mainers took something they normally do and made it just a little bit more special. A group of CrossFitters actually held a pretty intense workout session in honor of one of their own who paid the ultimate price. We're going to have that story. Plus, preparations are underway for the summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. If it happens, we will bring you the latest. That and much more coming up on News Center at 5:30. Lee.
Thank you, Amanda. Now we'll be right back. And we're taking a look at the Snap Maps, which is our producer Rachel's favorite social media item in the world here. These are the Memorial Day parades in Portland. Lots of people in attendance and sharing their perspectives of it. Look at that, Portland Mayor Ethan Strimling. You never know when he's going to show up on your show. So this has been shared by our people using Snapchat and taking in their day. And obviously a lot of people at a lot of parades, and the rain did hold off for that part of the day, which was nice to have. So
yeah, cloudy day, but not bad overall. Okay, so
you have my attention.
This may seem like a non-transition, but actually it does apply to Memorial Day because so many of our veterans obviously laid down their lives in this cause of World War II. Interesting new study just came out. A lot of conspiracy theories about Hitler. A lot of people believe that he escaped to Argentina, as did many. Some of his associates did. So they just were able to get the jaw back from Russia. Russia has had Hitler's jaw, or what they thought was his jaw, for many years now because they burned his remains and Russian soldiers found them. So using dental records, they were able to identify the fact that it was him because he only had 5 of his original teeth left. And they identified those teeth with his dental records. They also checked for meat proteins, didn't find any because Hitler was a vegetarian, which is something that may surprise people. And last but not least, they found a reaction, chemical reaction, inside of some of the teeth to what corresponds to a cyanide capsule, which of course is how Hitler killed himself in his bunker. So this probably won't help the conspiracy theorists, but it was the first conclusive, this is his body, this is where it is, and that's the end of that story.
Well,
pretty interesting.
And that's the end of our newscast.
Vegetarian is really interesting to me.
All right, well, News Center 5:30 is interesting too, and it starts right now.